The situation surrounding Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie has recently drawn intense public attention, creating a wave of discussion about their place within the royal family and the challenges they are currently facing. What makes this moment particularly striking is not just the controversy itself, but the way it has unfolded so publicly, placing the two sisters under a spotlight they did not actively seek. For years, both Beatrice and Eugenie have maintained relatively low-profile roles compared to senior royals, balancing private careers with occasional royal appearances. However, recent developments have pushed them into a much more difficult position, where family loyalty, public perception, and institutional expectations are colliding at the same time. Reports and commentary suggest that internal tensions have increased, especially with the evolving vision of the monarchy under Prince William, who is widely seen as focusing on a more streamlined and modern royal structure. This shift naturally places pressure on extended family members, including the York sisters, who are now navigating a landscape where their roles are less clearly defined than before. As public curiosity grows, the narrative has been shaped not only by facts, but also by speculation, which makes understanding the full picture more complicated. In such an environment, even small developments can be amplified into major headlines, turning private family dynamics into global talking points. This is exactly what appears to be happening now, as the sisters find themselves at the center of a story that is still unfolding and evolving in real time. To understand how things reach this point, it is important to look at the broader context involving their father, Prince Andrew, whose controversies over the past few years have had a lasting impact on the entire family. Although Beatrice and Eugenie themselves have not been accused of wrongdoing, the association alone has been enough to affect how they are perceived in the public eye. In the modern media landscape, perception often carries as much weight as reality, and this creates a difficult situation for individuals who are connected to a larger narrative they cannot fully control. The sisters have had to balance personal loyalty with the expectations of an institution that places great importance on public image. This balancing act becomes even more challenging when every appearance, every absence, and every decision is analyzed in detail by the media and the public. Over time, this pressure can build into a situation where even neutral actions are interpreted as meaningful signals. The idea that they are being quietly distanced from certain royal events has been widely discussed, though often based on reports rather than confirmed decisions. Even so, these reports contribute to a broader perception that their roles are being reconsidered. In a family where tradition and reputation are deeply intertwined, such perceptions can have real consequences, influencing not only public opinion, but also internal dynamics. This creates a complex environment where the sisters must carefully navigate each step, aware that their actions are being watched more closely than ever before. One of the most talked about aspects of the situation involves the reported differences in approach between generations within the royal family, particularly between King Charles III and Prince William. While King Charles is often described as more traditional and emotionally connected to family ties, Prince William is seen as more focused on long-term strategy and public trust in the monarchy. This difference in perspective has fueled speculation that decisions affecting Beatrice and Eugenie may reflect a broader shift in how the institution is being managed. The idea of a slimmed-down monarchy has been discussed for years, and it suggests a future where fewer members carry official roles and responsibilities. For the York sisters, this raises important questions about where they fit into that vision. They are not working royals in the same sense as senior members, yet they still carry titles that connect them to the institution. This unique position places them in a kind of gray area where expectations are not always clearly defined. As discussions about the future of the monarchy continue, their situation becomes a symbol of a larger transition, one that affects not just individuals, but the structure of the royal family itself. In this context, any perceived distancing or change in their involvement is not just about them personally, but about the direction in which the monarchy is heading. This is why the current situation has attracted so much attention, as it offers a glimpse into how tradition and modernization are being balanced behind palace walls. At the same time, it is important to recognize the human side of this story, which can sometimes be overshadowed by headlines and speculation. Both Beatrice and Eugenie are not just public figures. They are individuals dealing with personal challenges, family pressures, and the expectations that come with their status. Reports describing emotional reactions, such as stress or anxiety, highlight the fact that behind every public narrative are real people experiencing real feelings. Living under constant scrutiny can be incredibly difficult, especially when personal and family issues become topics of public debate. The sisters have spent much of their lives in the public eye, but the intensity of attention they are currently facing represents a different level of pressure. In such circumstances, even small decisions can feel significant, as they may be interpreted in ways that were never intended. This is why it is essential to approach the situation with a degree of empathy, recognizing that the story is not just about institutional strategy or public perception, but also about individuals navigating a challenging moment in their lives. Their ability to maintain composure in public, despite the ongoing speculation, reflect a level of resilience that is often overlooked. As the situation continues to develop, their responses and choices will likely play a key role in shaping how this chapter of their lives is ultimately understood. Looking ahead, the future for Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie remains uncertain, but it is not without possibilities. Both sisters have already built lives outside of traditional royal duties, pursuing careers and personal interests that give them a degree of independence. This could prove to be an advantage in a changing royal landscape, where flexibility and adaptability are increasingly important. While their roles within the monarchy may evolve, their ability to create meaningful paths outside of it offers a different kind of stability. The coming years will likely bring further changes, both within the royal family and in how it is perceived by the public. As these changes unfold, the experiences of Beatrice and Eugenie may serve as an example of how individuals can navigate the intersection of tradition and modern life. Whether they choose to remain closely connected to royal activities or focus more on their private endeavors, their journey will continue to attract interest and discussion. Ultimately, their story is part of a larger narrative about transformation, not just for themselves, but for the institution they are connected to. In a time of change, their experiences highlight the challenges and opportunities that come with redefining roles in a world where expectations are constantly shifting. As the situation continues to unfold, another important layer to consider is how public perception is being shaped not just by confirmed facts, but by ongoing media narratives and online discussions. In today's digital world, stories about public figures like Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie spread rapidly, often blending verified information with speculation in a way that can be difficult for audiences to separate. Social media platforms, in particular, play a major role in amplifying certain angles of a story, sometimes focusing more on emotional reactions and dramatic framing than on careful analysis. This has created an environment where even unconfirmed reports can gain traction and influence how the public views the situation. For the York sisters, this means they are not only dealing with internal family dynamics, but also with an external narrative that is constantly evolving and sometimes beyond their control. The idea that they are being excluded or distanced may be reinforced repeatedly online, even if the full reality is more complex. This cycle of reporting and reaction can intensify pressure, as each new headline adds another layer to the story. In such a climate, managing reputation becomes an ongoing challenge, especially when silence can be interpreted in multiple ways. Choosing not to respond publicly might be seen as dignity by some, but as confirmation of rumors by others. This delicate balance is something many public figures face, but it is particularly intense for members of the royal family, where tradition often limits direct engagement with the media. As a result, Beatrice and Eugenie must navigate not only what is happening behind palace doors, but also how it is being portrayed to the world, which can sometimes feel like an entirely separate challenge on its own. Another key factor influencing their current position is the broader transformation of the monarchy itself, especially under the influence of Prince William, who is widely expected to shape its future direction. His approach is often described as focused, disciplined, and highly aware of public expectations, particularly in an era where trust in institutions is more fragile than ever. This has led to a greater emphasis on accountability, transparency, and maintaining a clear and consistent image. Within this framework, decisions about who represents the monarchy and in what capacity become highly strategic. For extended family members like Beatrice and Eugenie, this can mean fewer opportunities to participate in official events, not necessarily as a reflection of personal relationships, but as part of a broader plan to streamline the institution. This distinction is important, yet it is not always clearly communicated to the public, which can lead to misunderstandings. What might be a strategic decision on one level can be perceived as a personal rejection on another. This is where the emotional impact becomes significant, as individuals are left to interpret actions that may not have been explained in detail. The idea of a smaller, more focused royal family is not new, but its implementation brings real consequences for those on the margins of that structure. For Beatrice and Eugenie, this means adapting to a role that is less defined by tradition and more by circumstance, requiring them to find new ways to remain relevant while respecting the boundaries being set around them. At the same time, there is growing interest in how other members of the royal family might respond to or influence the situation, particularly figures like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Their own experiences with stepping back from royal duties have created a unique perspective that some believe could resonate with Beatrice and Eugenie. Reports suggesting that they have offered support highlight the possibility of shifting alliances within the family, especially in times of tension. However, this kind of support can be complicated, as it may carry its own implications within the broader royal context. Aligning too closely with one side of an internal divide could affect relationships with others, making every decision feel more significant. For the York sisters, this creates a situation where even accepting help or maintaining certain connections must be carefully considered. It is not simply a matter of personal preference, but one that could influence how they are viewed within the institution. This dynamic illustrates how interconnected relationships within the royal family can be, where actions in one area can have ripple effects elsewhere. It also underscores the complexity of navigating family ties in an environment where personal and public roles are deeply intertwined. As the story develops, the way these relationships evolve may provide further insight into how the royal family adapts to internal challenges and external pressures. Ultimately, what lies ahead for Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie will depend on a combination of personal choices, family decisions, and the ongoing evolution of the monarchy. While uncertainty remains, it is clear that they are at a turning point, one that may define their role for years to come. They have already shown an ability to adapt by building careers outside traditional royal duties, which have become increasingly important as the institution continues to change. At the same time, their connection to the royal family ensures that they will remain part of the public conversation, regardless of how visible their roles become. This dual identity, both as private individuals and as members of a historic institution, presents both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, it allows them to shape their own paths with greater freedom. On the other, it means that their actions will always be viewed through the lens of their royal status. As public interest continues, their story may come to represent a broader shift in how modern royalty functions, balancing heritage with independence. In the end, their journey is not just about navigating a difficult moment, but about finding a sustainable place within a system that is itself in the process of redefining what it means to exist in the modern world. Another important dimension of this situation is how public image and long-term reputation are carefully managed within the royal system, especially during times of controversy. For figures like Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, every appearance or absence can carry symbolic meaning far beyond what might seem obvious. When they attend an event, it can be seen as a sign of acceptance and inclusion. When they are not present, it can quickly be interpreted as exclusion or distancing, even if the reasons are more practical or private. This constant interpretation by the media and the public creates a situation where silence and visibility both come with risks. The royal family has traditionally relied on a never complain, never explain approach. But in the modern era, this silence often leaves space for speculation to grow. As a result, narratives can form without direct clarification, shaping how individuals are perceived regardless of their actual circumstances. For the York sisters, this means their current situation is being defined as much by what is being said about them as by what is actually happening. In such an environment, managing public image becomes less about direct communication and more about carefully chosen actions over time. Small decisions, like attending a low-profile event, supporting a charity quietly, or stepping back from high-visibility occasions, can all contribute to reshaping perception gradually. This kind of strategy requires patience and consistency, qualities that are often necessary when dealing with long-term reputational challenges. It also highlights how the monarchy operates not just as a family, but as an institution where image and symbolism are deeply connected to its survival. At the same time, the role of King Charles III in this evolving situation cannot be overlooked. As the current monarch, he represents continuity, tradition, and a more measured approach to family matters. Reports often suggest that he maintains a degree of personal affection and understanding toward his nieces, which could act as a stabilizing factor during uncertain times. His leadership style tends to favor gradual change rather than sudden shifts, which may provide Beatrice and Eugenie with some level of protection or flexibility in the short term. However, this stability exists alongside the awareness that the monarchy is preparing for the future, where Prince William will eventually take on a more dominant role. This creates a dual dynamic within the institution, where present decisions are influenced by both current leadership and future expectations. For the York sisters, navigating this duality can be challenging, as they must balance respect for the current king with an understanding of the direction in which the monarchy is moving. This often means adapting quietly, without drawing unnecessary attention, while also preparing for potential changes that could affect their roles more directly in the years ahead. The existence of these overlapping influences shows that the situation is not static, but constantly evolving, shaped by both personal relationships and institutional priorities. It also emphasizes that decisions made today may have long-term implications, making each step forward a carefully considered one. Another layer to consider is how the concept of modern royal identity is changing, especially for individuals who are not at the very center of the institution. Unlike previous generations, where roles were more clearly defined, today's extended royal family members often exist in a space that blends public duty with private independence. This is particularly true for Beatrice and Eugenie, who have developed professional careers and personal lives that extend beyond royal expectations. This independence can be seen as both a strength and a challenge. On one hand, it allows them to maintain a sense of identity that is not entirely dependent on royal duties. On the other, it can create ambiguity about their place within the institution, especially as efforts to streamline the monarchy continue. The question of whether they will take on more formal roles or continue focusing on private endeavors remains open, and it is likely to depend on how the broader structure of the monarchy evolves. In this sense, their situation reflects a wider trend, where the boundaries between public and private life are becoming more fluid for members of historically rigid institutions. This shift requires adaptability, as individuals must find ways to remain relevant while respecting traditions that still hold significant importance. It also suggests that the future of the monarchy may involve a more flexible understanding of what it means to be a royal, where contributions are not limited to official duties, but can also include work in business, charity, and other fields. In the end, the story of Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie is not just about a single moment of difficulty, but about a broader transition that is affecting the entire royal family. They are navigating a period where expectations are changing, roles are being redefined, and public scrutiny is more intense than ever before. While the current situation may appear uncertain, it also presents an opportunity for them to shape their own paths in a way that aligns with both their personal values and the evolving nature of a monarchy. Their ability to adapt, maintain composure, and make thoughtful decisions will likely determine how they are viewed in the years to come. At the same time, the public's understanding of their situation may also evolve, as more information becomes available and the immediate intensity of the current narrative begins to settle. What remains clear is that their journey is part of a much larger story about change, resilience, and the balance between tradition and modern life. As this story continues to unfold, it will not only define their individual roles, but also contribute to the ongoing conversation about what the future of the royal family should look like in a rapidly changing world. As the story continues to develop, one of the most important questions is how time itself will reshape the current narrative. Situations like this often feel intense in the moment, but over time, public attention can shift, allowing space for reputations to stabilize and for individuals to redefine themselves. For Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, this passage of time may become one of their greatest advantages. If they continue to maintain a low profile while focusing on meaningful work, both professionally and in charitable efforts, the conversation around them could gradually change.